What's good, y'all? It's your boy DC, and y'all back rocking with Alabama prisoner profiles, right? Now, if you caught the first episode, you remember the guy's co-defendant in that case I said his name's Patrick Carr, right? And he was a juvenile at the time of that case. He was about 15, 16 years old, and he is credited as being the actual shooter of that officer, Myron Massey. Now, the kid didn't get convicted of that slaying. He was just adjudicated as a juvenile, right? Now, fast forward, this kid's 19 years old, and he's at West Jefferson Correctional Facility in rural West Jefferson County, right? And he's serving concurrent 10-year sentences for escape first and theft of property first. Now, at the time and today, West Jefferson was characterized by the Department of Corrections as a major correctional facility, meaning it's a maximum security facility, right? That's a picture I got of it right there in the thumbnail. That's how it looked back then and kind of how it looks today, right? And again, to make sure I ensure all accuracy, I'm going to be reading directly from Dude's Appeal right there on the internet, Carr v. State, 1994, right? So January 12th, 1990, right? This kid's at West Jefferson, and he gets into it with the dude in the cell next to him, and he's ordered to pack his property and to move to another cell. So it says here he was verbally abusive, didn't want to move, was resistant to the officers, and they then carried his belongings and him, right? Carried him, his person, right, to the cell. A search of the defendant's belongings failed to reveal a weapon he had hidden amongst his property. Shit, I'm trying to stop saying right after every damn. But less than an hour later, Officer Donaldson and Officer Coleman, and they're escorting this nurse down the tiers from cell to cell as she's dispensing medication to the inmates. So Patrick Carr was scheduled to receive some form of medication. It doesn't say here what it was, but they said he was scheduled to receive medication. They get to his cell, open the door, he throws hot coffee on the officers. So somehow during all this, the door became open a little bit wider, and Officer Donaldson began to rush in the cell, and when he rushed in the cell, he was stabbed multiple times by inmate Patrick Carr. Now, I tried to throw a picture on there of like a pick-type like weapon that I felt probably wouldn't get stricken, but they said it was 10 inches long and 1/4 of an inch wide. So He had that butcher, that Freddy Krueger motherfucker. Kind of like the one in the picture, they said it was sharpened on one end and the other had cloth wrapped around it for the handle for grip, right? So he hits the officer up 3 times with the pig. 1, 2, 3. So in 2 statements taken from Carr the evening this incident took place, he was, quote, real mad about being moved, and he feared the officers were going to come back to his cell, so he took his pick out of his mattress's hiding spot and stuck it in his boot next to the cell door. He said he admitted to hitting him up 3 times, but it was in self-defense, according to him. Says the appellant told another inmate that he had all the time in the world to do what he wanted to do, that he tried to hit him up in his heart, but he got him in the neck instead. Finally, it says the appellant was seen laughing in the prison infirmary as Officer Donaldson was being medically evacuated on the helicopter. Unfortunately, Officer Donaldson would later succumb to his injuries and pass away. Man, this is another wild case, right? We got a 19-year-old. You hit prison, you know what I'm saying? You're not going for that inside or outside prison. Now, it does say that they carried him to and from his cell. You know, I'd say probably from what my research, about 90% of the guards that get assaulted, it's not for no reason. The other 10% is for no reason. So who knows what happened to him in the process of them carrying him to another cell to where he felt like he had to do that. He had to respond that way. But you young kids out here should take notice. If you do crazy shit on the outside and you come inside, this is what you're going to have to deal with, right? Now, like I told you, I was reading from that appeal, right? And that appeal was from a death sentence that he received. Mr. Carr actually received a death sentence for the slaying of this officer, right? And the Court of Appeals upheld the death sentence conviction he received, right? And it says later on, Mr. Carr will eventually, quote, committed, quote, suicide, allegedly, right? So in the 90s, who knows? You know, the Alabama Department of Corrections, and who knows? You know, suicide, you just killed an officer inside, who knows, you know? Crazy. So after this incident, the DOC would go on to rename West Jefferson Correctional Facility William E. Donaldson Correctional Facility in honor of this fallen officer. Now, I want to say condolences to Officer Donaldson and his family. This screenshot is from his Officer Down memorial page, in which several members of law enforcement across the state spoke very highly of him, as well as his family and friends. Once again, this is not to condone any of this behavior. It's simply to spread awareness and shed light on it. Appreciate y'all rocking with Alabama Prisoner Profiles. I'm going to have more content coming y'all's way. It's your boy DC. I'm out.